Good morning, everybody. So, welcome to the third day's first session. Actually, Mr. Sadavdani Ganesh has to give the first lecture, but you know Bangalore traffic, so he just informed us that he will take some more time to reach. So, Professor Bindu is starting the session. So, Professor Bindu M. Kutty is a professor at Department of Neurophysiology, National Institute of Mental Health and Neuroscience. Additionally, she is an adjunct faculty at NIAS, and she is going to talk about brain, cognitive reserve, and neural basis of consciousness.
A very good morning to you all, and welcome to my talk. I take this opportunity to thank the organizers of the conference for the privilege given to be here and to deliver this talk. So today my talk is based on the brain plasticity, cognitive reserve and neural basis of consciousness. So we try to understand the intrinsic properties of the brain, especially the phenomenon of plasticity, the cognitive reserve, from the perspective of meditation studies that we have undertaken for the last 15 years. So I will be precisely mentioning what kind of studies going on in the department. So meditation, there are various definitions about the conceptualization of the meditation. These are the two definitions which I feel apt to my talk. So meditative techniques are intense sensory, emotional and cognitive experiences that helps enhancing the internalized attention, heighten awareness, bring mental processes under greater control and come out with emotionally positive experience. And if you look at the research studies on meditation, especially on brain functions, in early 1960s, little is known about the plasticity mechanism as well as the impact of meditation on brain functions. We didn't have much information. So it was Professor D.K. Anand and his research team from the Department of Physiology, All India Institute of Medical Sciences. They have recorded for the first time and observed enhanced alpha frequency waves. So these alpha frequency waves are the brain waves, 8 to 12 hertz brain waves. You can see that these bigger waves, 8 to 12 hertz frequency waves, that is superimposed on the background EEG. So there is enhanced alpha frequency following meditation, associated with meditation. And later studies by Robert Keith Wallace and Fred Travis and their colleagues, they have carried out extensively on research studies on transcendental meditation, and they have also found that meditative processes are associated with enhanced theta alpha power and also enhanced synchrony and coherence, that is enhanced brain oscillations. So meditative processes induce brain oscillations, and both interhemispheric as well as intrahemispheric oscillations, and these brain oscillations are very helpful to integrate the brain functions. So when the whole brain is integrated, one is very happy and with less stress. So that is the whole idea behind the meditation, and as you know that meditative technique helps in bringing a harmony between brain and mind. And subsequently there are a lot of studies to understand the role of meditation or the effect of meditation on brain functions. Especially there are many studies which reported enhanced synchronized oscillations, various EEG frequency oscillations like theta gamma oscillation, alpha gamma, alpha beta gamma oscillations and so on. So the studies ultimately showed that the simultaneous enhancement of alpha beta gamma oscillations would induce a unified cognitive experience. So that is an indication of again the integrated brain functions leading to the emergence of emotionally positive attitude. And latest studies also, we have examples to show that meditative practices also bring some physical changes in the structure of the brain. So brain plasticity, when we talk about brain plasticity, it is the ability of the neural circuit to undergo changes. The brain has the capacity to reorganize its connections as a result of experience. So here now we can consider meditation is one of the best tool to understand the experience dependent plasticity. So in one way, like you can look at the brain functions as such as I have mentioned, the brain oscillations, and the second way you can look at the structural changes. So these studies, for example, this study has come out published in 2005. So they have observed through MRI studies that enhance the cortical thickness. Meditative practices enhance cortical thickness, and this, it is not that it enhances indiscriminately, the cortical thickness. It enhances meditative processes, enhance the areas which are associated with attention, interoception, sensory processing. So it is not an indiscriminate way of increasing the volume of the brain. It is only those areas which are concerned with cognitive functions. Similarly, studies have also shown meditative practices enhance the fiber integrity, the fiber tract integrity. So it is the fiber tract that connects the various areas, especially of the anterior cingulate cortex. So anterior cingulate cortex, so there is activity, enhanced the activity of the anterior cingulate cortex, and this is again important for mediating various attention processes as well as self-regulation. So you can see that overall meditative processes enhances various attention and cognitive mechanisms. And in general, thus you can see that meditative processes, especially the short-term meditative processes, through various inducing, various neuroplasticity events, especially enhancing cranial coherence and various other plasticity events associated with the autonomic functions. The behavioral outcome is it promotes relaxation, positive effect, and reduces anxiety, stress, improve attention and cognition. So you can see that this is the immediate effect of meditative processes, short-term meditative processes. So those who are practicing meditation, especially even within 1 or 2 years, you can see that, or even 6 months, you can see some effect of meditation. But when you think about, the long-term practitioners of meditation, what happens? You can see that there is these meditative practices, induce a total transformation of individual consciousness from a self-centeredness to selfless nature. For example, so you can even look at the various higher mental attributes, you can study the heightened sense of well-being, cultivation of altruistic behavior, personal growth, environmental mastery. So you see that a long-term practice of meditation totally change your, individuality. And so what could be the processes through which the meditative techniques help achieving these higher mental attributes, mental states? So we, through our studies, we propose that, it is mainly the through plasticity mechanism as well as enhancing the various cognitive reserve capacities of the brain. It is not our proposal, but we also support this, that maybe, through cognitive reserve capacities of the brain, one can achieve various higher mental aspects that can be observed through your behavior. So what is cognitive reserve? That is the capacity of the brain to efficiently utilize the existing neural network or recruit alternative network when required to enhance the cognitive abilities. And another important ability is the anatomical variability at the level of networks. So that means the brain can change its, the property of the neural network can be changed through meditative processes. And that results in, you would have heard the term qualia actually. You can see the sensory experience will be qualitatively different. So the same neural pathways are now, processing the information in a different way, and with that you are able to experience various aspects of well-being. So with this background, I thought I will just share with you some of the results that we have obtained from our studies. So mainly understanding the meditative mind, we have used various approaches to look at the brain plasticity associated with meditation from a sleeping brain perspective, that is the neuroplasticity of sleep, what happens during sleep. And sleeping brain, like studying sleeping, the brain activities have various advantages, that is some of the confounding factors of the wake active brains, like attention, cognition, all these are are very highly reduced during sleep. So you can study the various brain activities exclusively associated with the sleep. And also meditation, how meditative processes enhance the cognitive capacities, and later how that you can relate to the well-being, psychological aspects of well-being by studying the neural functions. And mainly I will be talking about our studies on Vipassana meditation. This is one of the ancient Buddhist meditative techniques, and they use the technique of mindfulness meditation. But later on we have also added, we have also started studying about the Raja Yoga meditation. So in my talk mainly I will be talking only about the Vipassana, but Raja Yoga, especially about the well-being, I will be mentioning about these studies. So now looking at the sleep architecture. So when you record your whole night sleep, you get an architecture, you get a graph like this. We call this as the hypnogram or the sleep architecture. And the sleep architecture has got a very stable morphology. And so we were wondering actually how the stable morphology, how meditative techniques, influence the morphology of the of sleep. So these are examples, like this is recorded from a senior Vipassana meditator, and this is one of the age-matched control subjects. So we have observed distinct changes in the sleep architecture itself among the senior meditators. So we have started our studies with the senior meditators who have got a meditation proficiency of 5 years of meditation proficiency. They have undergone various advanced courses, and they are also regular practitioners of meditation. Daily maybe they are spending around 2 to 3 hours per day. And we have compared that with the age-matched healthy control subjects as well as the novices. So novices are the beginners, beginners of meditation. They have got an experience of less than 2 years of meditative experience, and also they would have undergone only some basic course, like basic courses in Vipassana meditation. So we wanted to study two aspects. One is what is the influence of meditation on sleep per se, and what is the influence of meditation proficiency on sleep. What we have observed from the sleep architecture studies is that whole night polysomnography study, we observed that there are certain changes displayed by the senior meditation practitioners. That is, mainly they have showed significant enhancement of slow wave sleep state as well as REM sleep state. So these sleeps are very important for bringing restorative, they have got restorative properties. So these are very important, and sleep is important for, for the synthesis of various proteins. Like you can see that it carries out various restorative activities that is very important to carry out very efficiently the waking state. So sleep is important. And also we have observed reduced intermittent awakenings. So intermittent awakenings usually interrupt the sleep. So what we have observed is these meditative processes enhance the sleep continuity and sleep maintenance. So these are the major observations what we have observed. And also we have observed that the senior meditators, when we have looked at the EEG power spectra and the topographical EEG power spectra, we have observed an enhanced theta alpha power, that is around 6 to 10 hertz power among the senior meditators. So this is another observation. This I will be talking in my subsequent talks also. So Vipassana meditation, especially senior meditators, we have observed some distinct changes in the sleep architecture as well as enhanced power theta at the theta alpha range. And we have also looked at the REM sleep state a little more, the characteristics of the REM sleep state, and observed that meditation practice enhance REM density some of the some of the various aspects of meditation. We have, REM sleep we have studied, especially REM density and the rapid eye movement activity patterns. And so these observations, for example, enhanced REM rapid eye movements are associated with enhanced plasticity mechanisms, and also enhanced REM density. There are studies to show that enhanced REM density is correlated with lucid dreaming, even though we haven't studied it. So these are all the changes what we have observed are correlated with some of the plasticity events associated with meditation practices, Vipassana meditation practice. And when we have initiated these sleep studies in 2000, and when we have, there aren't much studies on sleep, much studies on influence of meditation on sleep. Only we could see only one study. They also reported almost similar, or we have reported almost similar results what they have obtained, that is enhanced theta alpha and delta power, decreased EMG activity, enhanced low wave sleep, enhanced REM sleep density. So this group, the TM group, they have correlated, they have emphasized that these are the electrophysiological or the behavioral correlates of stabilized and evolved higher mental states. So these are achieved, these can be achieved only through intense meditative practices. And enhanced theta alpha activity also have been correlated with the sustained attention, emotional processing, feeling of happiness, enhanced parasympathetic activity. This enhanced parasympathetic activity takes care of the metabolic, hypermetabolic state with a proper cardiovascular functions, and enhanced self-regulation and subjective well-being. So you can see that, so these could be the indices, the enhanced alpha theta could be an index of the changes that is happening in the body. Then we have moved from the sleep studies. We wanted to see whether these enhanced alpha theta are associated with or a trace effect of meditation, whether this can also be studied from the waking consciousness point of view. So we have just studied the EEG pattern during meditation, during various states of mind, like during rest, during breath awareness, during meditation itself, during Vipassana itself, and during even loving kindness, metta. So what we have observed, you can see that these are the EEG records, and with you can see an enhanced EEG oscillations in the low frequency range in the senior meditators. So here I mentioned the senior meditators means the seniors and the teachers. They are all advanced meditators. So we have observed this enhanced EEG oscillation associated with the meditation, associated with even rest among the senior practitioners. And if you look at the power spectra, what we have observed is this is during the breath awareness among the seniors and the teachers when compared to the novice group. And this is the basal rest level. Even at the basal rest level, you can see enhanced theta alpha, between around 6 to 10 hertz, even at the base level. That is what. So there is a kind of trace effect setting in. And during observing the breath also, there is enhanced amplitude of alpha at the range of 6 to 10, but especially around the lower alpha, that is around 8 to 10 hertz. And these are the power spectra, and you can see the significant differences in the enhancement of the theta alpha, especially the 8 to 10 hertz frequency among these meditators and compared to the novice meditators. And the same continued. We have observed the same trend. These are the examples from the while meditating from the Vipassana time, like when the practitioners are meditating the Vipassana technique. You can see that this is associated with enhanced amplitude of at the lower frequency range, that is around 6 to 10 hertz or especially 8 to 10 hertz when compared to the baseline. The same we have observed the 6 to 8 hertz and the 8 to 10 hertz enhancement among the advanced practitioners when compared to the novice group. Thus, we have observed enhanced theta alpha power across all states, all mental states, during rest, during breath awareness, during meditation, during meta identity. So as a kind of trait effect among the advanced practitioners of meditation. And again, so these can be so these are indices of achieving various behavioral outcomes. That these are indices of sustained attention, emotional processing, well-being, achieving well-being state, and so on. So again, we have observed, so enhanced theta alpha is a trait effect that can be seen during waking conscious states, that is during rest, during meditation, even during sleep state. So now from there we moved to understand the cognitive studies, the cognitive potentials. So here what we have done, we have studied the P300 waves. So P300 wave pattern, this wave are the positive waves that you can record at around 300 milliseconds from the onset of the stimulus. So these are associated with the cognitive task. So the subjects are asked to carry out some cognitive task, and the potentials are indices of your cognitive abilities. For example, this tells about the sustained attention, the working memory processing, and so on. So various aspects of attention and cognition can be studied by looking at the P300 amplitude. So in this case, we didn't see much differences across groups, like whether the advanced or the novice meditators. But when we looked at the EEG studies, EEG dynamics, time lock with the occurrence of the peak of the P300 waves, that is from between 200 to 600. When we looked at the the EEG dynamics, we have observed certain very dynamic change associated with the task performance. So when you are indulging in internal activities, internal meditative activities, you can see that there is enhanced theta alpha power, enhanced theta alpha oscillations. But when the attention is diverted from internal attention to an external attention to carry out a task, a cognitive task, what we have observed is there is an enhanced desynchrony of these oscillations, especially at the at the 8 to 10 hertz, that is the lower alpha range, as well as at the beta range. So these changes associated with the behaviors are very interesting. So like what you can see that there is something we can relate that to the cognitive reserve capacities. You are tuning, this is called as cortical tuning mechanisms. Cortical tuning, see, I will just come to that. So normally during brain processing, you can see that the long range theta frequency oscillations which activate and as well as integrate various brain regions. So these theta activations actually activate the regions which are kept apart, which are situated at longer distances. You can see that they integrate all these functions. So theta activity is very important to integrate the brain functions. But when you are in a meditative state, for example, there is something that is happening in the cortex. We call it as a cortical tuning. So during cortical tuning, what is happening, for example, as I mentioned, when there is an enhanced alpha frequency, especially at the lower range of alpha, that is 8 to 10 hertz. So this is an indication, this is a gating mechanism, indication to say that this, that now the cortex is indulged in internal attention processing mechanism associated with the meditation. So when the meditator is internally focusing his attention to the sensory processes, that is ongoing processes, there is an information, the cortical activity gives an information that there is enhanced alpha activity, and this is, we can call it as alpha gating. And this enhanced high amplitude alpha oscillation associated with inhibition and disengagement of task irrelevant cortical areas. So that means when the cortex is now involved in meditative processes, you can see there is enhanced alpha activity. Now when your attention is diverted to carry out an external task, a cognitive task, this will be reduced. The alpha is reduced, and the other activities, other brain oscillatory mechanism take over the function to carry out the cognitive. So you see the, the nuances of the cortical activities that can be changed, that can be bring under control to carry out various mental functions. So this is this is from our study. So almost similar explanation has been given by Railchan and Polich. So Railchan and his group, Polich and his group especially, they have carried out a lot of study, contributed a lot of study to understand the neural correlates of Vipassana meditation. So this is another example just to show these kind of cortical tuning. For example, in this case, they have studied the P300 amplitude by giving various stimuli like oddball stimuli, the standard stimuli and the distractor stimuli. So here, usually when you are asked to concentrate only on the oddball stimuli, you get, you are concentrating only on that oddball or the specific stimuli, and accordingly your attention is diverted to notice that stimuli actually. So accordingly, according to the amplitude, the P300 amplitude depends upon the sustained attention activities and the working memory aspects of the cognition. Whereas here, when the distractor stimuli come, the meditator, you see the amplitude is highly reduced in the meditators, and also there is almost reduced gamma activity. Whereas in normal controls, you can see there is enhanced gamma activity. So that means the cortex is, processing the information whether it is that is required for that particular task. Whereas here, you see that they have the ability to disengage from the unwanted and irrelevant stimuli that affect the attention and cognition processes. So these are, the various aspects of cortical tuning. We we relate that as a mechanism of or an example of cognitive reserve capacity. So in summary, what we have observed, distinct sleep architecture, and this is very important to establish a proper sleep organization. So meditation practice enhance sleep organization, enhance theta power across all states among advanced practitioners of Vipassana, and enhance cortical tuning associated with meditation, alpha desynchrony associated with the cognitive performances. And from there we thought, okay, these advanced practitioners, they have showed certain trait effects, certain enhanced cognitive abilities. So what about their mental activities, mental attributes associated with the enhanced cognitive, enhanced meditative or meditative proficiency? So we have looked at the well-being from the Buddhist perspective, among almost, we have used a study with a large number of meditators, 110 senior practitioners and 107 novices, and we have observed there is a correlation between the meditation proficiency with the development of wholesome qualities and reduction of unwholesome qualities. So the questionnaires are made accordingly, and we have observed that this meditation proficiency enhances the wholesome qualities and reduces the unwholesome qualities in these meditation practitioners. Now, we have also studied well-being from a Western perspective of Western psychological perspective. And this is a large cohort study we have carried out using almost 1,000 participants. This is to understand mainly about the Raja Yoga proficiency. We have also almost similar, like you can see that the meditation proficiency is correlated with the progress in well-being. So these are some of the empirical evidences we got to understand the brain mechanisms associated with plasticity and with cognitive reserve capacity. So in a nutshell, we can say that meditative experience condition brain functions in different ways and at different levels. And with all these enhanced plasticity and cognitive reserve capacities, I feel that the conscious experience of the meditator will be totally different from that of a normal. Like all of us experience basic consciousness, and at times we are able to appreciate the content of consciousness, whereas meditative practitioners with their very specific conscious experience may be able to achieve this meta-consciousness state in a much better and a stable way than anybody else. I think I'll stop my talk with this, and these are my students, past and present. But I have talked only a very little part of the study from the studies carried out by Dr. Sulekha, Dr. Ravindra, Dr. Nirmala, Ajay, Mr. Ajay, Dr. Jyoti, and currently Ajay and Jyoti are with me, plus Gulshan, Rahul and Anaka are also carrying out meditation studies. Arun is, see the theme, our theme is we are interested to understand the consciousness from an illness to wellness spectrum. So here I have given only the wellness spectrum, like the brain activities associated with the meditation. Whereas from the illness point of view, Dr. Arun is studying various aspects of dysfunctional thalamocortical mechanisms associated with schizophrenia. The other students are involved in various studies concerned with animal models. And my research collaborators are all of them. John P. John, you would have heard him yesterday. Seema is a positive psychologist. Ravindra Pant, he is the director of Nalanda Vihara University, because we are trying to understand the Buddhist philosophy from the empirical evidence, what we got it from our studies. Sangeeta Menon and Binoy from NIAS, and funded by various other funding agencies. I also thank the participants of the study, and thank you all for your kind attention.
Thank you, ma'am, for a very great talk and finishing it before the time allotted. So you saved 5 minutes.